Right, good morning all. So we're moving on to Surah 75. Moving on to Surah 75. And it's talking about al-Qiyamah, Surah al-Qiyamah, right? And what this is about is the resurrection, right? And this is not the resurrection. When I talk about the resurrection, I'm not talking about the resurrection from a storyline or a religious line or line from a religious story, right? When I talk about the resurrection, I'm talking about resurrecting something within you, right? Something inside you that life, society, the world would have tried to kill, right? Resurrection within you of part of yourself, right? That life would have killed, right? A resurrection, meaning a new birth, right? A new birth, right? Resurrection of care, right? Care, love, right? Whatever dream you want to fulfill, to go ahead and push through that dream, right? So it's a resurrection of yourself, right? A resurrection of yourself, right? It's not like, I'm not talking about any religious reflection as an somebody rising from the tomb or this and that, or reincarnation or anything like that. I'm talking about you being able to connect directly with God to help you to resurrect something within yourself that has died, right? Right. So the book says that Allah is able to proportion your even down to your fingertips, right? That is the capacity that Allah has, right? Allah is able to proportion even down to your fingertips, right? But people do not realize this, and yet mankind continues to, the desire is to continue to commit sin, right? So it is said that on this day, man against himself will be a witness, right? So it's talking about a process of self-transformation and self-change, right? And mankind himself, you for yourself, is going to be witness to your own change, right? You for yourself is going to bear witness to something that is changing within you, right? And the book advises not to present excuses, right? And what you do not make excuses in what you do, right? Make no excuses, right? Once you are physically able to do something, and I emphasize the point physically because I always say that there are things that people can do, and I know how depression is, you can't, but there are things that you can do. If you look at all my videos, you will see there are steps, little by little by little by little, regardless of how long it takes, and progress is progress, that you can take by yourself and naturally, right, to be an overcomer of these things, right, and not fall victim to these things, right, to the depression, to the anxieties, to all these things. There are little daily actions that you could actually take, right? And these things could be great actions, right? Great actions to you and to Allah, right? Is great actions, little actions that you can take to what? Overcome, to be an overcomer in your own life, to be a success story in your own life, right? You don't have to be acting in a movie, or you don't have to be in front of stage, right, to be an overcomer in your own life, right? So present not excuses, right? So the book advises that mankind, refrain from simply loving the immediate gratification, right? You want something, you want it now, and this is things of the world, whether it's luxury, whether it's lusting after something, whether it's luxuries you want, whether it's chasing after money, chasing after women, men, right? Chasing after house, car, all these things, meaning to stay on the right course, and these things will come to you in due time, right? You put in the effort, right? You remember Allah, you put in the effort, right? Action and prayer, right? Action and faith, right? And these things will come to you, right? So it's not about getting a quick fix in anything in life, right? It's not about getting a quick fix in anything in life, but taking things in stride, right? Taking things in stride, right? And taking the action towards that which you want to attain in this lifetime, right? So refrain from the immediate gratification, right? There's no need to be chanting and praying to XYZ, a million different gods, or a million different people, or even one, right? or even one deity I'm talking about, right? Deities we are referring to in the world, right? In the universe, right? There's no need to be, oh, I want this and I want it now, and I'm going to what? Say I pray for this specifically. Say I pray for that specifically. Material I'm talking about in the world, right? These things, comes via our own what? Our own doings, our own actions, right? Our own participation in the world to do the things that we want to, and to do it righteously, right? And that's a key point in it, to do it and to do it righteously, and you will attract, for want of a better word, or bring those things into your reality, right? So do not refrain from wanting things immediately. Have patience, and this is why patience, I keep repeating this concept of patience, not just for myself but to help others as well, not just to help others but to help myself as well, right? So does mankind think he will be left neglected, meaning abandoned, right? Mankind will never be left abandoned, right? Mankind, has he not been a sperm? Have I not been a sperm from semen emitted, right? Then you and me were made from a clinging cloth, and Allah created his form, and created your form and my form, and proportioned us, right? And he made of us two mates, the male and female, right? The creator Allah is able to give life to the dead, right? So the book is saying that mankind will never be abandoned, right? So do not fear, right? Do not fear or think that Allah will abandon you or leave you, right? The remembrance of Allah, you always can connect with Allah, right? Regardless of what you're going through in life, right? Allah will not abandon you just like that, right? That's never the case, right? So may we, as we live our lives, right, live with the consciousness that there is one creator with no associations with this one creator, right? So when we leave this earth, we leave the earth, right, with the words in whatever language that you may, right, that there is only one God that is worthy of worship, and that one God is none of us on earth, right? That one God is that one God who created the entire and sustains and will in due time, right, dissolve, but we are sustaining, right? We are talking about sustenance, right? Sustenance of life on earth, right? Creation, sustenance of life on earth. Allah will never abandon you, right? Allah will never abandon you and I, right? So we are talking about, and I am referring to sustenance of life on earth, right? So may we live with that remembrance that there is only one God that is worthy of worship, right? One God that is worthy of worship, with no associations, no partners. So when we leave this earth, right, it is almost like a plea, right? Well, that when we leave this earth, right, to live with the consciousness, right, there is none other worthy of worship than one God, right? So moving past the polytheistic, monotheistic debate, right, and acknowledging it for what, acknowledging the creator for what it is, right? So we will pick up with Surah 76 tomorrow. Take care, everybody.